Wallace.
And I have Don Holly here with me.
Three phases, dressage, cross-country, show jump. And you're out on course and something's going wrong or going right. You know how to react to what they're doing.
It was built originally to be a schooling facility, and so everything's set up very conveniently.
Welcome to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros, and we are bringing you this opening with Skype because I can see John's lips moving and he wants me to say something also. We are brought to you by now Spotify podcast along with Apple Podcasts, so you can download those if you want to listen to us. This is episode 10. We have some great visitors. John, tell everybody what we have coming on today.
So joining us in the studio today, we're going to have Joe Meyer, New Zealand eventer and just generally super entertaining guy.
Definitely.
We also have USEF Managing Director of Eventing, Jenni Autry, joining us. And then we want to get out here pretty quickly to the Florida Horse Park, where you and I were at a horse show this past weekend.
We were.
The first real, I guess it was an unrecognized competition, but a huge number of horses there. And I was able to catch up with Tick Maynard, who is a great eventer from Canada. He's married to Sinead Maynard, used to be Halpin, and they run a great business here in Ocala. And he also is an incredible horseman, does lots of natural horsemanship stuff, and travels around the world really teaching clinics on that. So why don't we run out there to the horse park? We'll listen to Tick and Emily. Emily is the organizer of the events there. And sure. We'll check in with them, and then we'll be right back.
That'd be great.
All right, so I caught up here with Tick Maynard. Tick, thanks for taking a minute to chat with me.
Thanks for having me. We're multitasking because I'm eating lunch. I got a horse here. This is Galileo, my dad's horse. So.
Oh, that's cool. It's a family affair.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun to be back out eventing again. What do you have here today? Are you competing as well?
Yeah, I'm competing. I got two horses. I got Galileo, my dad's horse, and I got Hutchie, a nice horse that Liz Lund had for a while.
Yep.
And I got them both in the training, so it's the first time competing in what seems like a long time.
Right. Well, that's cool. And so obviously we all had the break. You utilized the break and train and do all of that. How did you guys sort of get through all of that? You feel like the horses are better or worse for the time off?
I feel like they're better.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice. A couple of them, like, you give them a little time off, and when they kind of had something nice to think about, they even come back stronger, like they've been thinking about it the whole time. It's nice.
Yeah, I've kind of felt the same way. And so obviously here we're supposed to be wearing masks except when we're eating and doing stuff like that. So
so I'm excused because
you're excused,
eating.
And I'm wearing mine, so we're safe. Mm-hmm. And so has that been fine? Any issues with that? Are any of your clients upset about it, or?
No, I mean, I think I've been trying to be easygoing and see what people are comfortable with, and I think most people have been a pretty good sport about it.
Cool. And then what about sort of going forward from here? What are your plans for the season? What are you going to do?
Well, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there's rules start to change back and forth a little bit depending on the state and the area, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a second sort of upswing in cases and some areas sort of get closed down again.
Right.
And I think we're going to all have to be a little flexible and have plans, but be ready to change too. And if you get too ingrained in your plan, you're going to get frustrated.
I think that's right. I've really tried to almost make no plan. Just go. I hope I get to Jockey Club, and we'll see what happens along the way.
Yeah.
That's kind of the best policy, probably. You're probably the best person for that because you're pretty laid back. Just naturally, like, yeah, we'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
You don't get stressed. So I try to hang out with Tick as much as I can because he doesn't get stressed, or at least he internalizes it all and doesn't spread it to other people, which is nice. I like to spread my stress out so that the whole community
just
has
not
to
the
take
COVID.
it.
Spread the stress.
But not the COVID.
That's
Yeah,
right.
We need a face mask for stress. All right, well, listen, man, I appreciate it. I'll let you finish your lunch.
Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, thanks for taking the time. All right, so I am here at the Florida Horse Park with Emily Holmes, the director of events, and we are at the Pop Show. So, Emily, thanks for taking a minute to sit down with me. I know what a fan you are of doing this sort of thing.
Oh, I'm glad I have my mask on.
Yeah, we're keeping up with the coronavirus regulations here with our masks on. So it's a huge entry today. How many horses do you have?
268 entries is what we ended at. It's so far, as far as I know, it's the biggest pop show on record.
Wow, that's amazing. And so do you think that is because there's more people that are eventing down here and have stayed, or do you think it's that people are just so excited to be back and allowed to event?
I think it's people are so excited to be back and allowed to event. There's people that haven't come out in a while that I'm seeing their names on the list.
Right. Well, that's cool. And so you had some, obviously we're wearing our masks, and so I know there was some regulations as far as the masks go. So what are the rules for that?
So USEF changes their mind every once in a while, and by that I mean every week. Right. And as of this week, social distancing is in place, 6 feet apart. If you're going to be within 6 feet of somebody else, you should be wearing a mask, or I said in public areas.
Right.
So show office, food vendors, warm-ups.
And are people listening to that for the most part?
For the most part. So it seems like in person, everybody's wearing their mask and behaving themselves. It's just the internet warriors I've been dealing with more than anything.
Right. So it's almost it almost turns into politics.
It's all
which is crazy.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You can be like safe and still have an opinion and keep it safe for everybody.
None of us enjoy wearing these masks, but if we want to have a horse show right now, this is the way to do it. So if you want a show, wear a mask. It's that easy.
Totally. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not thrilled. It's hot a little bit, but it's way better than sitting at home not horse show.
My pores are very open right now.
There you go. It's probably like good for your face.
Yeah, you know what? Might be. Maybe I'll have to like go get a facial after this.
This could be the thing. I had thought about it. Good thinking.
Extra lotion. Yeah.
But the courses all look really nice. It looks like everybody's riding really well.
Yeah, I was a little worried about that with being out of practice, but so far so good.
Cool.
Fingers crossed.
Well, thanks to you for organizing all this. I know it's a huge effort, and thanks to Florida Horse Park for all the work that they've done putting this on.
Yeah.
The ground's beautiful. We've had lots of rain. The cross-country course, I walked it the other day, and it looks
about
beautiful.
as good as I've ever felt out here.
Yeah, it's amazing. So thanks so much. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
All right, so we're back here, and again, a big thanks to both Tick and Emily for the interviews. And I have to say, it was amazing. I thought how many horses and riders came out to event this past weekend, and the courses were good, like I said. And I
think there's 253 horses.
Yeah, it was right around there. Emily said in the interview, I can't remember exactly, but it was right there. It was a big deal for sure. So that was good.
And between Elisa, myself, and Briggs, we had 8 horses there. So it was fun, and we had had a good time. It was a little bit hard following the USEF protocols, but wearing a mask when you're super hot and running around, it can be done. And we all just need to follow those protocols at the recognized shows.
Yeah, I had my mask on that you could see in the interview, and I've decided that next time I'm taking this one because it's white. And the black one, it did get hot.
Yeah.
So I will be switching to a white mask for the next one, which will probably be sort of a nice light brown gray color by the end of the day, but that's fine.
That's okay. Use it as a handkerchief too.
Yeah, so I think the next one they have out there is July 12th. I know Sweet Dixie, who's a big sponsor of ours, they've got jumper shows going on. So I'm going to be getting out there to those as well. And they've got lots of cross-country schooling there. Majestic Oaks does. Barnstaple's got stuff. So, we'll have to make sure we check all that stuff out. And as you know, Rick, I did make a promise with our fundraising.
You did.
We raised the money. So again, good job to everybody for the Frangible Fence fundraiser. I went ahead.
Fantastic.
I got the tattoo. And before I unveil it here, I took a little video of the experience. And let's go check it out. Okay, so here we are. I just wanted everybody to see what a lucky woman my wife is that I am about to leave to go get this tattoo. And she's super excited. I'm going to get in that truck right there, that one. That one, and drive to Denellen to White Buffalo and get my tattoo. He's the guy who's done all my other tattoos. I even wore this shirt because, as Jen's going to show you on the back, it has the spelling for Frangible Now. Hashtag Frangible Now. You see that there?
Hang on, I'm getting it. There we go.
Because I don't want any regrets. Oh shit, spilled beer.
You swore.
Oh man, it's gonna have to get bleeped. So, I just wanted to say thank you for being a tolerant wife. And by the way, I took $190 off your purse. Bye.
I knew.
All right, so fillet of fish and large Coke ordered. Gotta have some food in your stomach to get a good tattoo. So, here we go. My body is a temple. I'm telling you, it hits the spot.
That's the most expensive tattoo I've ever had. All set. Now the hard part starts. So pretty. Is that the outline already?
So dang, John, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah, I have to say, I was a little bit worried it was going to take longer than it did. In the end, the tattoo took a grand total of 4 minutes and 12 seconds, I think.
You're kidding.
That was really fast. So that was
Wow.
good because I'm not as tough as I thought I was. And it's all healed up
is.
now. And
You got to
can
lower.
see it.
There you go. Yeah.
There it is. There.
Very good.
Yeah. So it's done. It's the most
I
expensive
thought it was
tattoo I've ever
funny
had.
when you did do that and you sent me the thing. I said they misspelled frangible.
I was worried. That's why I wore the shirt that had it spelled on the back, and he double checked it twice.
Yeah.
Nobody
They're very
wants those
good. Well,
kind of
good for you.
regrets.
It's
Yeah,
it's a
thanks.
great cause and a great thing to raise money for. And so what are we to now in the money side?
We're with the matching grant. We're just a little over 300,000. So
Very good.
we're doing well. I think realistically, we've got something like we only need to raise like another $85,000 ourselves to get the matching funds for the rest. Because every $50,000 we get a matching
Sure.
50 from the Manton Foundation.
Yeah.
So
Then I'm in
realistically,
trouble.
we've just got to raise about 85 grand, and then then you're in trouble. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good.
Very
That's
cool.
good. So listen, we're going to be right back with Joe Meyer. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk to Joe.
All right. And before we go, that was pre-recorded. So there was some stuff that we didn't get to talk about in Joe's segment, just so everybody knows.
Yes. We missed a couple things, like when we did the interview, Maryland 5-star was still happening.
Correct. And then also the loss of a horse that one of the Myers had bred and had passed away.
Yeah, it was ridden by Dan Jocelyn, I believe, right?
Correct. That's right.
Yeah. So we missed out on that. So if you see that doesn't make sense, that's why that section was pre-recorded. But it's still a great interview. Joe's always entertaining. So we're going to take a quick break. And we'll be back with Joe.
Sweet Dixie South is an equestrian facility built for the lifestyle of eventers of all levels. Whether you are coming to Ocala for the entire season, a week, a month, or a year, this beautiful 160-acre farm is the place to settle in and enjoy your time with horses. They offer a full cross-country course with 2 water features, banks, ditches, and amazing footing to gallop, a spectacular all-weather footing ring, large grass jumping fields, and dressage rings. Located in the rolling hills of North Marion County in Reddick, Florida, Sweet Dixie South has 100 stalls and numerous paddocks, apartments, a line of camper hookups, washer and dryer amenities, as well as common areas to complete your experience during your stay. Under the ownership of Mike Campbell and the management of can-do Joe Adams of Top Rail Tack, Sweet Dixie South has transformed into a premier eventing training facility in Florida. Go to www.sweetdixiesouth.com for more information.
Jump for Joy USA has what you need for your private farm or recognized competition. Our jumps are no maintenance, easy to move, and affordable. No scraping or painting necessary. We offer jump stands, wings, fillers, water trays, and more. Poles are wood-filled and available in 4 weights and lengths. And we now offer octagonal poles. Our cross-country portables and brush jumps are extremely useful and have been used for training by the British eventing team since 1990. Easy to move from the arena to the field and no tractor required, so you can change your setup often. We ship coast to coast in the USA and Canada. Visit our website, jumpforjoyusa.com.
The equestrian life has big highs, heartbreaking lows, and so many moments of self-doubt. From CCI 5-star to starter, every rider needs a support system and a cheering section. A care package filled with equestrian goodies can be the perfect way to celebrate, congratulate, or commiserate. Let Present Pony do the work so you don't have to miss an opportunity to express your love and support.
We are back at the Jon and Rick Show, presented by Horse Trailer Pros. We're sitting in the studio of Horse Trailer Pro parking lot. We are now on Spotify and we are on Apple Podcasts, and it's a great thing. We also have Joe Meyer here with us.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have Joe Meyer.
I just said that.
So many accolades for Joe's career, but I think most important is that he was on the 2006 World Equestrian Games. That was at Aachen, right?
Yeah.
He was also a member of the 2008 New Zealand team that went to Beijing for the Olympics. 10th place at badminton in 2006 and 7th in 2007. So 2 top 10 finishes at badminton.
Wow, that's
that
impressive.
alone is impressive,
Right?
Much less the team stuff. So well done, and thanks so much for joining us, Joe.
Hey, well, thank you so much, guys, for having me on.
We
here.
love having
And,
you here.
I'm loving your groovy studio.
Is
sort
it
of
cool?
It looks like, well, from the outside, you just kind of
It's a little
don't really
sketchy.
know where you're going, but when you get in here, it's pretty cool.
We're basically like super secret spies.
Right.
Yeah, and this is our spy.
But I think Sinead and Lynn Szymanski was texting Sinead when she was on last, sitting right where you were. And look what's behind you.
That's right. That's our rooster.
And so they started talking about my bird, which I really like. And
Yeah.
I think it's great stuff back there.
Yeah, well, I love cocks too.
See?
All right,
It's
there
a
you
good
go.
cock.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And
So-
we just had Cock on like a couple shows
yeah,
ago.
Karen O'Connor was just on last
Yeah,
show. That's
yeah.
right.
He gets really nervous.
I
You
do
see
get a little
he gets
nervous when we start going off the rails. I'm not going to lie.
I'm sorry about that. No,
Good job, Joe. This is
I
why
don't
you're here.
understand why you get so nervous. It starts itching.
So,
And you
back.
just hit him right there with a tattoo.
No, don't do that.
There
I'm
you
still a
go.
little tender. So,
right.
one thing, as I was, obviously, Joe, I've known you for a long time, and I think it's funny. How many years ago did you move over to the States?
2011.
Okay, so it's been a while, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because it doesn't feel like it's that long.
No.
And so I remember hearing years ago that your parents bred horses,
Yeah.
and hearing about some great horses that you bred. And then when you said you'd come on the show, I went back and reread your bio,
Right.
and I had forgotten. So your parents have the Mamaku stud, right? And so you grew up in New Zealand, and they bred what I consider the greatest event horse of all time, Charisma.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that has to
didn't
be,
know that.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be just by itself. That is something, a story of a lifetime. And that's, you said 14 years old at that point.
I was, and it's one of those funny stories because actually my father was a polo player and my mother was an eventer. And Dad had 2 full sisters and a half sister to Charisma in his polo team at the same time. And he didn't want Charisma because Charisma was a gelding.
Right, and so before we get too much further, just for those who maybe don't know, Charisma was a horse that Mark Todd, another New Zealander, another
Right.
Kiwi, rode. And, I mean, just briefly, he won Los Angeles?
Yes.
So he won the
Well,
Olympics at Los Angeles?
Yep.
84.
84.
Yeah, I mean, just an incredible event horse.
Yeah.
And was about this big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry,
And-
go on.
And the next Olympics.
2 Olympics.
Yes, 2 Olympics.
And yeah.
In a row.
Unreal.
I know.
Seoul. Was that Seoul? 84 and 88? Yeah.
And basically what I get out of this is you got screwed out of this horse as a kid.
Accrued.
Your parents sold your horse out from you.
So, actually, it was all fine because, number one, I was way too young to ride a nice horse like that. And he was sold as a very, very young horse. and he went off to a couple of different places, and then he ended up with Mark Todd. And I remember going to one of the first shows that Mark rode him at, and my mum looked at him and went, how's he going to fit on that horse? And he literally, his legs were way down underneath the horse, and of course he won the class, and that was after he'd won badminton on Southern Comfort, and he'd come back to New Zealand to sort of regroup and get horses and whatever. So he took Charisma to England. So it was pretty cool. I have to credit my grandparents really for their whole breeding, because they were the owners of the farm. My father was the manager, my mother was helping him. It was a family affair, breeding horses, I guess. But they did a lot of different breeding, and it was kind of what we had at the time. We bred show jumpers, hunters. We started off breeding hunters for my grandfather.
And when you say hunters, you mean hunt horses?
Hunting, horses to go hunting.
Right.
Not hunters.
Not American hunters.
2'6", stuff. No, this is to gallop around, jump wire fences, and go
do
hunting.
the hard
on.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's really, really cool.
So you watched this happen. You
Yeah.
watched Mark Todd take Charisma and become Mark Todd.
Yeah.
And Charisma become Charisma. And then
Yeah.
at some point, obviously you were eventing and riding through this whole thing. And at some point, you decided that it was time to leave home. So what was that all about?
We went on a family trip to the Gawler World Games in '86 to go and watch Charisma. And I was 15, and that's when I fell in love with eventing. I just looked at it and went, this is what I want to do.
And so had you evented before that?
Kind of a little bit, like sort of pony club. Oh, yeah. I mean, just a little bit of
stuff,
eventing.
but that was it.
Little stuff. But that was
the
that was the moment. I just went, this is just amazing. And there was people like Torrance Fleischman and Tinks Pottinger and old famous names.
Right.
And it was unbelievable. And so that was it.
And so how old were you when you actually made the move?
It was another 10 years later.
Okay, so you were mid-20s.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Right.
To be exact.
Right.
Yeah.
So you made the move to England, and so you did that, I'm assuming, because you really wanted to event, and that was going to be your passion, and this is how you were going to make that happen?
I loved eventing. We had a group of friends, Dan Jocelyn, Bruce Haskell, were from my area of the North Island of New Zealand. We'd all talked about it, we'd gone over and we'd sort of done trips to England, but we were desperate to ride the big classes. We were desperate to ride at Burghley and badminton. That's what was our dream. And so we had to go there, and once we'd got there, it was tricky to be able to afford to operate in both hemispheres.
Sure.
So, you had to sort of make your mind up what you wanted to do.
And so is it, as an American, to go and make a move to England is a little bit difficult? Is it easier paperwork-wise from New Zealand to be able to go and stay and get a visa and be legal to be in England? Essentially,
yes. Because New Zealand is a Commonwealth country, we have a 2 to 3 year granted work visa where you're meant to go over, and in the old days you're meant to go over, do bar jobs and nannying for 50% of the time, and then you do your overseas experience.
Right.
And that's a little bit obviously changed nowadays, but yeah, we can get in there a little bit easier. And once you've spent a bit of time there, it's easier to stay. I mean, I was very lucky. I had an English grandmother, so I had an ancestry visa to start with. So it was not hard.
Right. Okay. And so then you stayed there. You competed. You had Snip.
Yeah.
And so that was bred by your parents as well.
Yeah.
He was bred by your parents as well.
Yeah, he was.
So I mean, that's two pretty great horses.
Yeah.
Homebred. And how many other event horses did you have that were, I'm sure there were some that were maybe or lesser than and better than, but how many great event horses or good event horses did you have that were homebred?
Well, there was Ease on Fire,
right?
Who was a fantastic horse, and he placed in the top 20 at Burghley. There was Southern Star, the first horse I brought over, and I had a lot of trouble with him, keeping him on the road, but once we got there, he was fantastic, and he was a little bit old-fashioned, big galloping horse, but amazing. and I got halfway around Burley and I looked at my watch at 6 minutes and I was 10 seconds down and I shook the reins, and by the time I got to the end, I was 10 seconds up.
That's pretty
and
awesome.
It's like, and still going, you know, no warm blood, homebred, you know, fantastic horse. Sanskrit was another horse, and they all go back to that charisma line, one way or another.
Right,
you know?
and the stallion on that was?
Silent Hunter.
All right.
And guess where he's from?
America.
Yes.
American Thoroughbred?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And he was just the most fantastic sire. So he was a sire that my father picked, went to try, was breeding some racehorses, just hobby breeding.
I'm going to find something with Silent Hunter in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Joe can probably hook you up.
No, it's just normal, old-fashioned, good American breeding. Like if you go through his pedigree, you'll go, oh yes, Hyperion and this and that, and you know, it's
so that is actually the perfect way to say that I want to discuss in a minute why you made or how you made or what the thought process was to come back over, not come back, but to come to America.
Right.
So what we're going to do is quick take a break. We'll be right back after these commercials, and then we're going to talk about the next step in Joe's career when he came to live with us crazy North America.
Enjoy these supporters.
Looking for an amazing fox hunting experience? Contact Black Horse Farm, Fox Hunting and Eventing. Located in Area 4, Black Horse Farm and the Mossback Hounds in Elizabeth, Illinois welcome all USEA eventers to come join them for an introductory fox hunt free of charge. Ride with Master of the Hounds Tony Leahy and the Mossback Hounds over some of the finest hunt territory in the entire country. Visit Black Horse Farm on Facebook to arrange your free hunt experience and hear about the upcoming hunt camp in July.
ERA of North America is the voice of the rider, to assimilate and leverage the collective voice of North American riders, equine professionals, and owners. ERA of North America works to improve the overall safety, welfare, visibility, and growth of the sport. Be sure to go to www.eraofna.com and jump in.
Sweet Dixie South is an equestrian facility built for the lifestyle of eventers of all levels. Whether you are coming to Ocala for the entire season, a week, a month, or a year, this beautiful 160-acre farm is the place to settle in and enjoy your time with horses. They offer a full cross-country course with 2 water features, banks, ditches, an amazing footing to gallop, a spectacular all-weather footing ring, large grass jumping fields, and dressage rings. Located in the rolling hills of North Marion County in Reddick, Florida, Sweet Dixie South has 100 stalls and numerous paddocks, apartments, a line of camper hookups, washer and dryer amenities, as well as common areas to complete your experience during your stay. Under the ownership of Mike Campbell and the management of Can-Do Joe Adams of Top Rail Tack, Sweet Dixie South has transformed into a premier eventing training facility in Florida. Go to www.sweetdixiesouth.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros, right here from Ocala, Florida, the horse capital of the world, from the Horse Trailer Pros studios, and we are super excited that we are still joined by New Zealand event rider and Olympian Joe Meyer. Joe, thanks for sticking around.
Thank you, and I'm really pleased you call it the horse capital of the world, because there's a lot of other places that claim
but we
to be, but we are.
Yeah, totally we are. It's proven.
So, yeah.
It's proven. I'm sorry, Lexington, but it's us. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And incidentally, guys, don't forget to check out the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcast. So
Good catch, because I was going to say something, but I was just letting it go.
thank you very much. You always let it go.
No, not you.
So, Joe, we were talking about being in Europe, and then you decided to move to America.
Yeah.
So, what was that all about? Why did you decide to make the move?
Without getting into too much personable stuff, it was just a big life upheaval. And I'll just say, new wife, I needed some new goals, some new challenges, and
Fresh chart.
Yeah, but I'd also, the places that I lived in England were very nice, but it was very full of people and very too much concentrated for me, and it just drove me a little crazy, and I just needed to get into a place where it was just a little bit nicer, and I just wanted some new challenges. And like I said, my wife Ruthie was from here, and so I just thought this is the obvious next step. Meet some new people, and also I'd got to 40 years old, and I know that's not very old, but I felt like I needed to start to make a future and not just go day to day riding.
Sure. Right.
And look, I'd had a great time. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we toured all around Europe, went and rode at all the events, had a fantastic time, but I just felt like it was time to start to,
build the future.
Yeah, build the future.
That had some retirement gains
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
So when you came over, the horse that I remember you having here was Snip.
Yeah.
And one of the sort of silly questions that I always wondered was, when you go to compete, you put the stencil on his butt and you do the fern on his butt.
Yeah.
So what's the black, is it charcoal is the black stuff? What is that? And it stays, I don't get it.
Okay, so it's actually boot polish.
Wow.
Okay.
All they try to do with a gray horse is make
Yeah.
them white, and you're putting boot polish on them.
Well, I know, and my wife gets out there and she's got her brush and she's got the boot polish, and this is the coolest thing for her. We have a stencil.
Right.
Okay, so you put it on, you don't have to, do it with a little brush. It's a stencil, it's boot polish. You only need the boot polish if you've got a grey horse.
Right.
For the other horses, it's not too bad. And once I was competing in Aachen, and I was actually riding Clifton Lush, and I had one of my working students who had a fairly good sense of humour, was tacking up my horse for cross country. And she'd taken the stencil and she'd put on the fern, and just when I wasn't looking, covered it with glitter spray. And so, and I just shook my head and went, oh God, I've got to get. I'm off to cross country at Aachen with the glitter spray.
Right. This isn't like you're going down to the local horse trail.
No, this is like, did you really have to do that? But it was too late to clean it off, and if we'd had, it would have been a mess. And
that's
well,
awesome.
at least you didn't get the little pink crop with star on the end, and then
it came close. I tell you, yeah.
That's great.
That's a good story.
That is great. So you've been here now for, I guess, 9 years?
Yeah, 9 years. Yeah.
So what are the biggest differences between eventing in Europe and eventing in North America?
We're here.
Yeah, us.
Well, you guys. Okay, so there are quite a lot of differences, and one is, the first one that springs to mind is the weather. The weather here in the winter in Ocala, as you know, is fantastic.
Right.
Summer gets pretty hot and steamy. In England, the weather is dreadful, and you might have 3 weeks of summer where the ground goes to complete concrete. Like, it's a bit like living in the north, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, it's Wisconsin.
Yeah. So the weather is one thing. There are a huge amount of events, and there is a very large concentration of very good riders. So whereas more in America, you're going to find pockets in different places.
And a good place I know you do a lot of sales for horses, so it's a good draw for that here.
Yeah.
We're in Florida, and it does get hot, but I mean, we're all here year round.
Sure.
It's not too bad.
No.
We get used to it,
Yeah.
right?
It's never been so hot that I've had to wake up in the morning and shovel the sunshine off my sidewalk.
No, well, exactly.
Kate?
That's true, but let me tell you, that's really good, because I'm North Dakota, South Dakota, and nothing
Wisconsin,
worse than
man.
shoveling snow. But when we talk about heat that's so hot, I tried to stay in Wellington for year round. I didn't make it.
That's pretty tough.
I couldn't make it past May 31st.
Yeah.
And here it's bearable. I think even in Marion County, we have at least we're a little bit elevated, so we get some breeze coming through.
Yep.
But it's a great place for y'all to be, and you've had a great 9 years here.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's great. I mean, it is fantastic, and we love it here. I do love the concentration of horses and people in Marion County and Ocala. I really like that, and that's, slightly different. There is also a large teaching culture here in America, which is a little bit different to the UK, for instance, where it's a little bit more do it yourself, get a lesson,
And
sort
so
of go and do it,
there's advantages and disadvantages to that, obviously.
There are disadvantages and advantages. I think the way I look at it is that we live very well here, and our cost of living is not great. Our entry fees are more expensive, but it kind of swings and roundabouts on where you want to be, you know.
So when you talk about the culture here of teaching, so for those that don't understand what that is, that means that in the United States, a lot of people, amateurs, juniors, come to a professional, and it's a more structured teaching atmosphere for people.
Sure. Yeah.
As where in England, as you were saying, people just go get a lesson, go back home, and kind of do it yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, parents help,
right?
Things like that. It's
right.
just it's a
so,
bit more like
so
that.
a lot of people don't really know that.
Yeah,
and it's really is why you're able to kind of structure a business.
Yeah,
because you're able to depend on that kind of income coming in. And I think Mike Winter, that's coming on, had the same effect when they went to England, was they had to kind of transform a little bit with what they were doing. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just going to say that's right. I mean, I know from talking to Mike during the last show, a piece of that is like he always says to me when he goes to an event, and I'm sure you had this when you were there, Joe, where you don't go to the event in England and walk the courses with all your students. You show up and you event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. You do, and there'll be some people that you walk the courses with. Events happen quite quickly though. In England, there'll be a one-day event is a one-day event, you know, and an event will run training and prelim one day, and then the next day it might be intermediate and advanced. You know, it's not over a period of days where you're going to the same show, so you can get in and out of a horse show, and that's happening a little bit here actually. Which
they're starting to, especially with the
yeah.
pandemic coming, they're kind of going, one days might be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
What's your goals this year?
Me?
Yep. Get back out there?
Get back out there. I have got 2 fabulous horses that I would love to have qualified for the Olympics by the end of the year. And that is obviously FEI classes permitting. So I've got that. I would, and involved in that, I would like to ride at the 5-star at Maryland.
So you're thinking both horses would head there?
I'm thinking I'm going to take one to the 5-star. That'll be Johnny Royale, and Buccaneer will go to either Morven as his first, because he still needs to go through those
step up
level, yeah, and Jockey Club. Also, I've got Clip Clop, and he can kind of just go where he wants to go and do what he wants to do. So we're working on that, getting the horses qualified. I've got some horses to break in still, which I'm really putting off.
You gotta wait till it gets really hot.
I know, exactly. Surprisingly, and I have to say this, we didn't think it was going to happen, but over the last couple of the weeks, horse sales have been tremendous.
Yeah,
right.
And I think it's because people are starting to now look to the backside of this pandemic and are starting to say, well, what are we going to do when everything opens up?
They're getting ready to go. They
yeah,
see things
and
are
people
starting to
are,
open up.
and we've had some people flying in, not hugely, but other people coming in from Georgia and places, and so that started to get going again. So that's great. I mean,
it's good. Yeah. It's good to hear that. And I know we're coming to the end, but I just want to tell you that you have the coolest little wired hair Jack Russell, and I have the coolest short hair female Jack Russell, and they're going to meet pretty soon.
Yeah,
gonna have some puppies.
Yeah,
so that's exciting. Joe,
well, he's a proven sire.
I've seen that. You have great puppies.
You've got breeding in your family.
I know, right?
So, Joe, thank you so much for coming on the show. Hopefully, you'll come back again.
Yeah.
And we're going to be right back, guys. We've got Jenni Autry coming up next. So We'll be right back.
Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. That's cool.
The equestrian life has big highs, heartbreaking lows, and so many moments of self-doubt. From CCI 5-star to starter, every rider needs a support system and a cheering section. A care package filled with equestrian goodies can be the perfect way to celebrate, congratulate, or commiserate. Let Present Pony do the work so you don't have to miss an opportunity to express your love and support.
When I compete, I demand the best out of my horses and myself. That means being the best version of me I can, both mentally and physically. That's why CrossFit Antics is my home gym. Coach Vilma creates a fun, welcoming environment that encourages athletes from beginners to seasoned veterans to be their best. New to CrossFit? No problem. Coach V will modify the workout to suit you in a fun, challenging way. Be sure to mention the Jon and Rick Show for a special discount.
Summit Joint Performance, the injectable joint supplement used by numerous international and Olympic riders, invites you to experience the winning Summit difference. Made of all natural ingredients, Summit increases mobility and comfort. Win your class with Summit Joint Performance. ERA of North America is the voice of the rider, to assimilate and leverage the collective voice of North American riders, equine professionals, and owners. ERA of North America works to improve the overall safety, welfare, visibility, and growth of the sport. Be sure to go to www.eraofna.com and jump in.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show. We are pleased to be brought to you, as always, by Horse Trailer Pros. And anytime you've got anything that you need fixed on your horse trailer, whether you're here in Ocala or truthfully anywhere in the country, Matt and his team over at Horse Trailer Pros are the place to go. So make sure you check them out. And as always, make sure you also check us out over on our podcast on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Is that right?
Spotify.
All right. And we're really excited because now we are joined by USEF managing director of
you got it.
eventing. Easy for me to say, Jenni Autry. So now that I've massacred that, Jenni, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
I mean, it's great to see you guys. I haven't seen anyone in months, so nice to see each other virtually anyway.
Yeah. So are you joining us from your house or are you at the office?
So I'm at home in Lexington, and we're renting an apartment downtown while our house is being built. So if you hear any police sirens, I'm sorry, the police station is really close by. So I'll just apologize in advance for that.
I appreciate the heads up on that. I'm sure everybody does. So does that mean that you guys are still working remotely at the USEF?
So the state of Kentucky has allowed 50% capacity to be back in offices, but essentially the USEF is encouraging, if you can work from home, still work from home. So I'll go in normally one day a week, honestly, just to use the printer and have any in-face meetings that I need to at a safe social distance. So for the most part, we're still working at home. But I mean, we all can work remotely in our line of work, which is great. So it really hasn't disrupted our workflow too much. So it's been, it's been 3 months of it now.
Wow. Yeah. Well, good for you. And it's a new normal for everybody, isn't it?
It is.
So I think the place I wanted to start, and then Rick, you can jump in whenever you want. But I wanted to know one thing that I haven't, at least personally, heard you discuss a lot in public is you were originally, to me, Jenni Autry of Eventing Nation and sort of the queen press person and publicist for all things eventing for quite a while. And then obviously this position came available and you amazingly said that you wanted to do it and have done a great job stepping in there. So I just kind of wonder, what was that transition like? It couldn't have been super easy. I'm sure you had to figure stuff out along the way.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really know exactly what I was in for because it's such a big job, but it's something I'd always kind of had in the back of my mind, just because Joni Morris, my predecessor, had a communications background before she took on the job. So I'd honestly always kind of had it in the back of my mind that if it ever did come open, I would apply if the time was right and I felt like I was the right person for the job. So that's ultimately what happened. And I'm someone who believes that the best way to learn is just to jump in with both feet and go for it. And that's what I did. So one of the first things I did in August, once I had officially taken on the role, was going to the test event for Tokyo for the Olympics. And then we had a Nations Cup team at Buccolo, and we were really building up a lot of momentum for obviously what was supposed to be a big year in 2020, and then COVID-19 hit. So it was very interesting being fairly new in the role still. And then come March, we have a global pandemic strike. But honestly, it's been such an amazing learning opportunity for me to have to really be on my toes and deal with things that the eventing department has never dealt with before. So from that perspective, I think it's been an interesting almost 1 year now in the role, but I wouldn't change it. And as far as the transition, I feel like now that I'm almost a year in, I feel like I have a good handle on things. Have a lot of committee meetings under my belt, as you know, John. We're on a lot of those together. So I'm just really excited for the future. We have a lot of positive momentum still going ahead into Tokyo next year. And of course, we're also thinking ahead to Bertoni in 2022 with the World Championships there, and ultimately Paris and Los Angeles. So it's always a lot going on, which I love. So from that perspective, I feel like it almost wasn't that different from a workload standpoint, because I'm constantly used to being on the move. So I'd say it's been an interesting transition, but a good one. And I'm obviously happy that I went for it, and happy that things are going well 1 year later.
I think we're all happy you went for it as well. So, and you were, I have to say, from day one, you were on it as far as all of the meetings that I was on with you. So well done there. And you know, you've done a great job.
So, hey, and we've had a lot of interaction as well over the years, and it's really cool to see you in this position. So congratulations, number one. And I know you after a year, I'm sure things are going to really start firing up with COVID coming into a place where a lot of states are opening up more than Kentucky. Here in Florida, we're on phase 3, and I think we're really getting to the point of just pushing forward. I think it all depends on the governors. Obviously, Kentucky's with Bashir, and down here we have DeSantis. And so the horse show, John and I actually were at a schooling show at the Florida Horse Park, and I got to tip my hat to Emily Holmes, who put this together, and she really wanted to follow the USEF guidelines, because it's a lot of work to do what has to be done to follow those protocols. And I can tell you, I'm one that wants to follow rules. It's really hard to keep your mask on at all times, and you got to kind of transition. But as we move into this, and y'all start at the USEF, start looking for the horses at the top level to start competing and getting out there, what is the protocol for the fall? What are y'all really looking at? I know we're coming down to just Ocala Jockey Club being kind of left last woman standing. I'm going to call it a woman because they're stronger.
That's true.
What is your plans for this fall? Do you have anything? Do you have contingencies? What's going on there?
We have contingencies for our contingency plans at this point. I mean, I feel like even every week the plan keeps changing. So we've had to be incredibly nimble and flexible and open-minded and positive and just optimistic that whatever the picture actually ends up looking like, we're going to be able to come at it full force with a great plan and just make the best of it. So we still have Ocala Jockey Club left, and also Morven Park, which will be hosting the new 4-star long there. So it's going to be more of a home campaign this year, but we also have Poe. So Poe is still hanging in there. They're still wanting to run, and they would be the only 5-star in the world that's able to run this year if they're able to do that. So we would also be looking at having horses go to Poe as well. So it changes constantly. So it's just always being on our toes and willing to pivot to the next plan. But we're looking at obviously having everyone come out strong in the fall for those long formats. And honestly, the downtime, again, you have to look at the silver linings, right? It's given the high performance riders a chance to really dial into the details and to be able to work on really fine tuning and honing things and just getting the best and the most that they can out of that quarantine time. So now that everybody's starting to get ready to come back out, Eric Duvander, our high performance coach, is out working with them and just getting everybody ready to come back out strong and again salvage what we have left of the season. So we still have those long formats on the calendar. Fingers crossed that everything's able to run. Of course, safety is paramount, and we will be there with face masks on, assuming everything goes ahead.
Yeah, I have to say I've been telling everybody the same thing, that this downtime's great. Horses are going super. So now I'm sure all of the riders are feeling the same as me of, gosh, I hope when I go out there, my dressage is pretty good and I leave all the poles up and jump all the things. Otherwise, I'm going to look like an idiot because I've been telling everybody how good they're going.
That's it. Hey, I hear you. I told you, John, I was out doing the cross country yesterday, the schooling show, totally galloped right past fence 3. And I was like, finished. I was like, that was such a good go. And the guy's going like this. And I was like, what does that mean? He goes, you didn't jump fence 3. I was like,
it's the worst. So Jenni, before we run out of time here, I did just want to quickly talk about something that made me laugh the other day, and I texted you about. So you just had a big anniversary.
Yep, 12 years.
12 years,
Oh, this is funny.
but there was a debate because you were told it was 11 maybe by your husband.
Yeah, he said, "Oh, I can't believe it's been 11 years," and I was like, "That's because it hasn't. It's been 12."
But that's
so,
because
of
I'm
course,
sure being married to you is so easy; it doesn't feel like it was that long.
I know it's just sailed straight by. Yes.
Yeah, so he's obviously, I don't know him terribly well, but he's obviously a pretty cool guy because you had to pick up your lives and move out here to take this
Right.
job to Lexington. So, I mean, was he on board with that immediately?
Yeah, he was super encouraging and supportive. He's always been that way about my career. And it's actually a funny story how he ended up getting his job here so quickly because we moved from Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, and he's very heavily involved in litigation in his line of work as a lawyer. And so it was going to take at least a month or more for him to finish up his caseload in Pennsylvania before he could join me in Kentucky. So I came out here first to get started in the job while he was finishing up in Pennsylvania. And we had a horrible experience with the moving company. They, first of all, were a week delayed in delivering our furniture. So,
Awesome.
yeah, exactly. So we were sleeping on the floor. And then when they finally showed up, they delivered the wrong furniture. So it ended up, I was like, I can't even make this up if I tried. So then it was going to end up being another week. And Josh, bless him, he didn't want to leave me to have to deal with the movers while I was starting with my new job. So he ended up staying for much longer than expected in Lexington and thought, well, I might as well hit the pavement, set some meetings, see if I can land a job. And he did. So
Wow.
it
That's
actually
lucky.
was one
Good
of those,
man.
yeah, serendipitous things. So he was able to, a month later finish up in Pennsylvania and then join me here and get started in his new job. So again, things happen for a reason. So it all worked out in the end. But yes, he's very long suffering, I suppose would be the right word.
And not good at math, apparently.
No, not good at math, but that's all right.
That's all right. Well, listen, Jenni, we really appreciate you coming on and joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
And hopefully you'll come back again.
Definitely.
And we will be right back. And we're going to be back with something that's near and dear to Rick's heart, especially, and myself, and have a little talk about Billy Turner. So we'll be right back.
Thanks.
Jump for Joy USA has what you need for your private farm or recognized competition. Our jumps are no maintenance, easy to move, and affordable. No scraping or painting necessary. We offer jump stands, wings, fillers, water trays, and more. Poles are wood-filled and available in 4 weights and lengths. And we now offer octagonal poles. Our cross-country portables and brush jumps are extremely useful and have been used for training by the British eventing team since 1990. Easy to move from the arena to the field and no tractor required, so you can change your setup often. We ship coast to coast in the USA and Canada. Visit our website, jumpforjoyusa.com. When I compete, I demand the best out of my horses and myself. That means being the best version of me I can, both mentally and physically. That's why CrossFit Antics is my home gym. Coach Vilma creates a fun, welcoming environment that encourages athletes from beginners to seasoned veterans to be their best. New to CrossFit? No problem. Coach V will modify the workout to suit you in a fun, challenging way. Be sure to mention the Jon and Rick Show for a special discount.
Sweet Dixie South is an equestrian facility built for the lifestyle of eventers of all levels. Whether you are coming to Ocala for the entire season, a week, a month, or a year, this beautiful 160-acre farm is the place to settle in and enjoy your time with horses. They offer a full cross-country course with 2 water features, banks, ditches, and amazing footing to gallop, a spectacular all-weather footing ring, large grass jumping fields, and dressage rings. Located in the rolling hills of North Marion County in Reddick, Florida, Sweet Dixie South has 100 stalls and numerous paddocks, apartments, a line of camper hookups, washer and dryer amenities, as well as common areas to complete your experience during your stay. Under the ownership of Mike Campbell and the management of Can-Do Joe Adams of Top Rail Tack, Sweet Dixie South has transformed into a premier eventing training facility in Florida. Go to www.sweetdixiesouth.com for more information.
Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. They really can handle anything that you need. They are a complete full-service trailer repair shop. I have them currently actually doing decals on the side of my trailer because I now have a white pickup truck with a white horse trailer, and that matches about 99% of the horse trailers that go to the horse shows. So a few of my owners have said they can't find me, and Horse Trailer Pros is taking care of that, and they do that all the way up to completely rebuilding stuff. So if you need anything done, they are the guys to talk to.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what we wanted to talk about here, and Rick, you're going to kind of take the lead on this, I know, because you've been really spearheading a campaign to help out, is, you know, the very famous, very well-respected Billy Turner, Triple Crown winner with Seattle Slew, is in a tough spot right now. And we're reaching out to anyone and everyone we can to try to lend a hand to help him out. So why don't you tell us sort of the situation and what we need to do?
Sure. Living at the Ocala Jockey Club, I moved here January of 2019. And to be quite honest, I had no idea that the famous Seattle Slew Triple Crown winner Billy Turner lived on the property. And it probably was some time before I really knew that that was the case. And Billy and his wife, Pat, had moved to the Jockey Club, I believe, in 2016. And they came in, and Billy was always seen on a tractor or on a mower cutting grass, and really actually smiling as he was doing it, because we all know what cutting grass feels like. It's a big accomplishment when you see it done. So when I found out it was Billy Turner, of course, we have Munson Slew. And one day he was driving his tractor down the way, and I waved him down and said, "Hey, Billy." And this man was 79 years old. He hopped off the tractor. He ran over to Munson, and he said, "This boy sure looks like Slew."
That's pretty good.
I know, it's very cool. And he stood next to him. I wish I would have gotten some pictures. But flash forward to about April of this year, and I've become very close to Pat and Billy over time. And Billy, unfortunately, had some kind of accident on the mower. And I remember driving into April and seeing him drive on the zero turn, and he was just kind of slumped in the chair. So Pat called me, and Billy had been injured. And so she called me over. We called the ambulance. It came and picked him up. It turned out that Billy had fractured his neck in several points up the top of his neck spine that didn't cause paralysis, but definitely was creating some issues. And he went to the hospital. He went to Shands, and he was diagnosed with some severe neck injuries, in which proceeded to surgeries. He had a surgery on May 5th. And he's been in recovery, but it was discovered also that Billy, unfortunately, has prostate cancer, and it hadn't been treated, and it moved into bone cancer. So all these things going on with Billy, needless to say, he had also taken a call from a company called Care Plus that had him replace his Medicare with Care Plus, which wasn't a good thing. So what I'm saying to everybody today is, Billy and Pat are in need of our super support because insurance is failing. He's back home. He really needs intensive home care with rehab. And the man is sharp as a tack still to this day. You can sit down and talk to him about anything you want about racing. And he's 80 years old. There's a GoFundMe on my page, Facebook page. So
and we'll put it on the Jon and Rick Show's Facebook page as well, obviously, and I have it on mine. So it'll be out there, and people need to just go find it.
Right. And to all of those out there listening about Billy Turner, if you ever watched the documentary or heard about him, it was unfortunate things that happened to him in his career that really took away from the greatness that he was. And sorry.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I just at some point wanted to say, I remember 2 calls you made to me. One was the day you realized that Billy Turner lived on the Jockey Club, and I remember how excited you were that Billy Turner was there, and like, wow, I remember you said, John, can you believe it? Like Billy Turner, he trained Seattle Slew. He's here on the farm. It's so cool. You got to come meet him. He's a really great guy. Right. And then I did meet him at the Jockey Club 3-day event, and I got to shake his hand. And I remember standing outside of the ring. I had placed in, the top, I remember 5 or 6. And I shook his hand, and he congratulated me. And I thought, wow, like I've done some cool stuff in my life, but sitting there getting my hand shaked by Billy Turner because I had a decent placing, it's incredible. And then the other call I remember is the day that you found him in a bad spot. And, it would have been easy to say, oh, Billy, I called an ambulance and here it is. See you later. Good luck. But you didn't. You have always tried to help.
And Briggs is a big part of that. He's, we're setting up a TV so he can watch Belmont this weekend. He's, took some interviews from Bill Finley with Thoroughbred Racing Daily. The thing about Billy, and I was getting a little choked up, is he's not even in the Hall of Fame for legendary racetrack trainers. And here you are with Seattle Slew, who was an amazing producer even after his career as a racehorse. So, and Pat is here. She was his wife, his second wife, and one of the first female jockeys in the United States. We have living legends in Ocala. And, I think we all have got to step up, and I'm asking you, please, whatever you can, because we're monitoring the money. It's going into their account directly. And he's in need of intensive 6-month care, home care, rehab. We want him up and walking and at the Ocala Jockey Club in November so we can have the Slew Award and he can award that again this year. So, everybody up there, think about Billy and send your donations if you can.
Yeah, and we'll make sure we reshare that video, the documentary video of him as well, because
Definitely.
I will say I casually follow horse racing. So I knew who Billy Turner was. Obviously, I knew who Seattle Slew was. But when I watched that video, a few things hit me. One was how incredible it was, that whole journey with that horse.
Right.
The other thing that sort of hit me was how horse racing is such a business. And I don't mean that necessarily as a good thing or a bad thing. I just mean it's a thing, right? The owners of that horse made a change after he won the Triple Crown and decided they were going to take Slew on to do more things, and they didn't take Billy with. And I remember thinking how I've had similar situations to that with horses that have been in my barn, but not horses that won a Triple Crown. And it was heartbreaking for me when that happens, and that's part of business. And I can't imagine what it would be like to train a horse to win the pinnacle of your sport and then have the owners of that horse say, yeah, you did a good job. Thanks so much. We're going to go compete it again in a couple months here. And by the way, you're not going to be along for the ride. It would be heartbreaking.
And to that point, I think he was very much against the Slew racing after the Triple Crown. And what happened was he got talked into racing him, in which he was, at that point in time, the only Triple Crown winner to have never been beat in a race. Right. And when he raced at the race that Billy didn't want him to go to, which Billy was still the trainer, he lost. And that's where they subsequently changed him out. So,
and you know what? You would be hard pressed not to go along with it because you don't want to lose the horse. So you do the best you can, and the horse is going to go anyway. And you try to do the best you can by it. But really my point with all of that is he's obviously a legend. I've met him. He's a very kind man. Yes. He just really very quiet, soft-spoken, kind man. And I think my feeling, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that I feel like because he's such a kind man, he's been taken advantage of a few times in his life. And it's time for all of us to step up and help him out.
I agree.
None of this is any fault of his. He hasn't been negligent or done anything that he shouldn't have the community step up and help him out. And so I think it's time that we do it. I'm making a donation, or Jen and I are making a donation. And, I just appeal. I know we've done a lot of fundraising for the frangible fence stuff, but I really want to put, the ask out there to the eventing community, to the horse community, because hopefully we're being watched by a lot of the horse community, to say,
right,
it doesn't have to be $1,000. It doesn't have to be $500. It doesn't have to be $100. It could be $25. It could be $5.
Exactly.
Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps with all this stuff.
We're getting that, and I can't name all of the people that have given money, but this morning I was able to help Pat, his wife, transfer $9,700, which they desperately needed. But Bob Baffert donated $1,000, and that says something, right? With another Triple Crown winner trainer out there that is worried about Billy, and so everybody out there, again, he's a living legend. He's still alive. Let's help him. Whatever, if he has 2 years, a year, let's make that comfortable for him and enjoyable.
Yeah, and let him know we're all there for him, and that we're proud of him, and let him have that, because he's quite the man. He deserves it.
He is, and I appreciate taking the time to talk about him.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, we're really thrilled that you joined us for another Jon and Rick Show.
Yay.
And we will be back in 2 weeks' time with our next episode. And in the meantime, everybody have a great 4th of July holiday. I, for one, am looking forward to it. Proud to be an American. I know we're in some tough, awkward times now, but let's all just enjoy the holidays coming up here. And we will be back with another great show in a couple weeks.
Agree with you. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Rick Wallace.
And I have Don Holly here with me.
3 phases, dressage, cross-country, show jump. And you're out on course and something's going wrong or going right. You know how to react to what they're doing.
It was built originally to be a schooling facility, and so everything's set up very conveniently.